Education and training in the life sciences require that students learn a diversity of skills as well as the traditional knowledge base. Graduates who enter the professions must be familiar with the technology employed in today's laboratories and clinics, and with the design and performance of experiments. Of equal importance is the ability to communicate well with patients and the sensitivity to appreciate complex ecological systems. Some will also need hands-on experience of animals and animal tissue for their careers. All students of biological science and veterinary and human medicine perform practical work to illustrate knowledge and to gain a number of these skills. Practical work which for some involves dissection and animal experimentation. But the tools and approaches used by teachers are evolving in response to developments in technology and the demands of students and society itself. In this film, we investigate new directions in life science education, sampling classical experiments where conventional animal use has been replaced by a range of progressive, alternative methods.
SimNerve is a simulation of the classical nerve experiment, which is done since many, many years in physiological courses. I contributed to the programming of this sim series. I was responsible for the physiological background, for the physiological correctness of the programs. This was some years ago when we had a lot of discussions with students who didn't want to do these experiments with animals. And finally we decided it's no longer possible to do these experiments, and we thought about alternatives. SimNerve consists of 3 parts: wetlands, preparation, and experiments. Wetlands is just for introducing the students into the program. It shows pictures of frogs, and you can also listen to the sound. The second part are video sequences of the preparations of the frog's nerve. The third part is the main part, which presents a lab with all the devices that are necessary to do the experiments with 2 nerves, which I can place on stimulating and recording electrodes, and then can stimulate the nerve and do the experiments as in the real lab. When the students are doing the experiments with the real nerve, they always are anxious that they are doing something wrong and the nerve is destroyed, and they had again to prepare a frog and to use another nerve and so on. And with the simulation program, they really can try to do this, and this is what makes learning by doing and what makes learning more effective. Let's go to a single stimuli to demonstrate a different effect, which also shows one of the main advantages of such a program. You can use this thread to tie off the nerve at every place you want. When you tie off it here between the stimulating and the recording electrodes, the action potential will not reach the recording electrodes, and what happens should be a 0 line without any action potential. And now you can do what you cannot do in the real experiment. You can put the thread away, and the nerve again will respond as before.
Well, on one of these European conferences, there was a demonstration of an early version of the SimNerve program. And I was lucky enough to get a copy of this program. I was allowed to use it before it was, generally sold. So I introduced it to the students and my department, and it was very successful. I mean, everyone liked it because it's a very powerful program.
I myself was very surprised how good it works. In some parts, it might even be better than as a real experiment.
I highly recommend this equipment to universities. Both we teachers and the students are very content with the results.
As soon as you save time, as you have a setup that saves you time, then you will also save money. You can compress your schedule, you can do more experiments in one day, in 1 week, etc. So that's definitely a money-saving aspect in it. BioPack is a sort of combination of measuring equipment with which you can measure a lot of things depending on how you set it up. We use it for the students to measure nerve conduction velocity on themselves. It can also be used to measure various other parameters. It really has a lot of possibilities.
First, we put electrodes on the underarm of students. So we put one at the elbow and one just beneath the hand. And then we stimulate at the elbow and we register the evoked nerve impulse just beneath the hand, that electrode. And then we can visualize these nerve impulses on the data screen.
The combination of SimNerve and BioPack has fallen very well out with the students. And they see the advantages with first doing all sort of adjustments, etc., on the SimNerve program, and then they can take that experience with them to the BioPack equipment.
I think the pedagogic value of this equipment is the great advantage.
170 years ago, where the experiments with the nerve and muscle of frog have started, is a long time, and now is existing high-tech equipments delivering the same quality or better than the same quality without testing or using animals. The myograph describes the interaction between the nerve and muscles and documents the results of this test as an answer to a specified stimulus. The test person must fit his right hand and also must find the position for the EMG connections, the right position for the power sensor, and so on. The next part is to find the right position for the stimuli electrode. On the computer, the menu offers 8 experiments. If you have chosen your experiments, then you can optimize all parameters for a very good experiment in the next step. This experiment works automatic. In the computer program evaluation, you have the possibility to analyze the complete results of all reaction of your body. The results are absolutely identical between biological using for dead frog or human self-test with myograph.
Students like to use the Sim muscle program much more than to do the experiments with real nerve muscle preparations. The muscle is arranged principally in the same way as Sim nerve. There are 3 different parts. There is again a wetlands showing some frogs with some sounds. The second part shows the preparation, beginning in the same way as the preparation of the nerve. With this muscle we are going into the lab, to the practical course, which is the third part and the main part. You have all the devices that you need to do the experiments. You have to switch on the devices and then you have to adjust the parameters. You can apply single pulses or double pulses to see the superposition of 2 contractions, and you can apply the trains of pulses to analyze tetanic contractions and so on. There is plasticity in each isolated muscle. We didn't consider this plasticity here. This only occurs in the artificial situation of an isolated preparation, but not in the physiological situation. This disturbs the recording sometimes.